I will now represent the gentlelady from California.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and apologies if this question has already been asked, but I like to hear things with my own ears. So, Mr. Yang, what is the census sort of used for? Why do we conduct this onerous process?
The principle used for the census is twofold. One is for the apportionment of Congress, the apportionment of seats in Congress. And the second is to get an accurate count of the population. So when we're distributing funds, whether it's $2.2 trillion in federal funds or state and local funds, that we're distributing in the right way. What that means literally is where roads are built, where schools are built, what services are needed in different communities. For businesses, what that means is what stores get built and what you stock in those shelves of those stores. I live in Fairfax County. The fact that our Costco has approximately seven different types of rice is a reflection of the fact that Fairfax County is about 20% Asian American.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. So, I would agree with that, right? Someone who lives in, a city, a county, a state, we're always fighting to get the resources that we need, and it's important to know how many people, regardless of where they come from, regardless of who they are, what they look like, right? What language they speak, what rice they like. It's important to know how many people are in a place so you know how many hospitals to have, how many schools to have, how many parks to have. Am I missing something here?
No, it is as very basic as that. And again, the point is to get an accurate count. One of the things that we've been talking about here is sort of what affects accuracy. And we've talked specifically about Texas and Florida as being inaccurate counts. Well, I would point out that in the case of Florida, the state government only allocated $300,000 to the count for the entire state, compared to the state of Alabama, a much smaller state, which allocated $1.2 million to the count of their residents. So how you do your get out the count operations will translate into how accurate the real results will be. There is a correlation there.
And I do understand that it seems like my Republican colleagues want to get rid of every single foreign-born person, in this country, as though it boggles the mind.
I would object. I think that is attacking. I think that is attacking individuals.
I'd like to have my time.
I think that is attacking individuals.
Mr. Chairman, could you restore the order if you would?
Hold on a second.
I made an opinion. I can have an opinion.
Is the gentlelady asking to strike?
I am. I'm asking to strike those words, accusing us of that level of racism.
It's not racist if you think it. I mean, it's my opinion. I think I have a right to have an opinion.
We'll suspend for 1 second. Well, the gentlelady expressed the specific words you're asking to be
Specifically,
stricken.
what she stated was that the people on the other side wanted all foreign people to be removed from the country. And that's absolutely
As I
untrue.
mentioned, Mr. Chair,
And that
it's
is an
my
attack on every
opinion. I have a
person
right
on
to
this
my
side of the
opinion.
aisle.
I said I
am
believe-
tired of
Order,
the allegations
order.
of racism.
Mr. Chairman,
Order.
that's
Let me
not.
suspend for a second.
I didn't use race at all.
Let me suspend for 1 moment.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, that's not engaging in personalities. It's not an ad hominem attack.
Yes,
she
it is.
disagrees. She can use her own time to explain why she disagrees.
Everyone suspend for 1 moment. Gentlelady from Wyoming, are you withdrawing the request to strike the words from the
Yes,
gentlelady
just
from
want to
California?
point out the allegations are absolutely unsubstantiated, and it is ridiculous.
Chairman, could you instruct her to
yield
point
back.
it out on her own time?
And reclaiming the time, but the gentlelady from California, please proceed. We'll restore the clock.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess I don't want to use my own time saying, but I guess now perspectives and opinions are no longer important here in this committee. That seems like it would be a shame. Mr. Yang, we were talking about the census, and the question is, it kind of doesn't matter where you come from if you're someplace, if you're, using resources, it would be important for that jurisdiction, for that municipality to know that you are there. I mean, where I come from, if you get sick, you should go to the hospital. And the hospital's not supposed to say, well, who are you? Let me see all of your paperwork. I think the doctors take a Hippocratic oath to help anyone who's coming in bleeding, who would be wanting to need or use the resources that are available to them in that hospital. Do you understand sort of the question that I'm asking about why it's important just to know who is in a particular place?
That's absolutely right. With respect to public services, with respect to roads, that immigration status does not matter when it comes to the need for good roads, the need for good public services. And making sure we have an accurate count of our entire population. And again, if you even go to Supreme Court precedent in Ewenwell, they recognize that you should be doing total population counts, whole population counts for purpose of apportionment. The history on this has been very clear that the census is designed to count the entire population.
Thank you for that. You know, as I look at all of my questions, not one word in any of these questions is the word race. But so Mr. Yang, Assistant Attorney General Rodriguez says in his written testimony that apportionment should not account for those in a state unlawfully. What would be your response to that?
Well, I don't see anything in the Constitution that makes any sort of distinction. Rather, what the 14th Amendment provides in the census, in terms of apportionment, in Article 1, Section 2, with respect to the census, is the counting of whole persons. And it makes no distinction. Now, in the written testimony, it makes reference to the fact that somehow they should be part of a political community, but the notion of political community does not exist anywhere in the text of the Constitution, the 14th Amendment, or the Apportionment Act, and certainly even the contemporary dictionaries that he cited, except for a reference to parish law, did not make any reference to being part of a political community. Rather, simply a resident is someone that has a normal place of domicile. Now, to be clear, there are rules that the census has with respect to people that are transient, with respect to people that have tourist visas, for example, should not be counted in the census. There are residency rules with respect to the census as to what is considered a resident.
So you mentioned whole person. In the constitutional framers use the phrase whole number of persons rather than citizen or voter. And why do you think they did that? Because, of course, when you say whole person, and of course I think, and this time I'm going to use race, but I'm going to talk about myself. There used to be a time when a black person was not even considered a whole person. It was like 3/5 of a person. So I'm getting a little triggered by that phrase. Can you explain sort of why the framers used that phrase?
You're correct, Representative. Unfortunately, when the Constitution was first adopted, slaves were not considered citizens, but for purpose of the census was considered 3/5 of a person as a distinguished from a so-called whole person. And it wasn't until the 14th Amendment that citizenship was given to slaves, anyone born of slaves, and that sort of in making clear that when we are counting, we're still counting all persons in the state.
So tell me again, can you reiterate for the folks that can't seem to maybe hear what you're saying about why it's important to have an accurate count when you were doing the census?
Well, having an accurate count for purposes of data allows us to make sure that we have the services that we need in the United States for everyone. We need a society that has infrastructure for everyone. It is true for immigrants, non-immigrants alike. Certainly there can be policy debates around different aspects of that, but at least having the set accurate data that all of us can work from is critical to how this nation functions.
Thank you, Mr. Yang. And Mr. Chair, I yield back.
Thank the gentlelady from California. I would now recognize the gentlelady from Wyoming.
Well, first of all, I disagree with the idea that that there's a constitutional requirement for conducting a census so that we can have different varieties of rice at Costco. I almost want to say that almost all countries conduct a census.
Mr. Chair, that's racist.
Does the gentlelady have a? Does the gentlelady from Wyoming have a response?
Rice or hamburger or any other food stuff, that isn't why we conduct a consensus.
Mr. Chairman, those words, as ill-advised and foolish as they were probably not engaging in personalities. So I think we can let that go and call it even.
Yes,
after-
Mr. Chair, I'll withdraw.
I was using the terminology that Mr. Yang used, if you weren't listening.
I was listening, but I was
Okay.
also getting your vibe.
Almost all,
The gentlelady from Wyoming will proceed.
almost all countries that conduct a consensus actually have a citizenship question, and the UN says that